Hollow echoes. I knew something was wrong the moment I opened the door. It wasn't anything I could see or hear. It was the silence, thick like a heavy quilt draped over every corner of my house. Normally, I'd hear the familiar creaks, the hum of the refrigerator, or my cat Oliver padding across the wooden floor. But tonight, there was nothing. It felt as if I'd stepped into a photograph, a frozen, lifeless image of my own home. I tried to shake off the unease, flipping on the hallway light. The bulb sputtered, dimming and casting long shadows down the hall. In the small mirror on the wall, I caught a glimpse of myself. I looked tired, worn out from another late shift at the hospital. All I wanted was to collapse on the couch and forget the day. But something about my reflection held me there, something that made me linger. Was it my eyes? The way they stared back at me, almost questioning, as if I wasn't entirely alone. I shook my head, scolding myself for being paranoid. It had to be fatigue playing tricks on me. I moved down the hallway, switching on more lights. Each bulb struggled, flickering as if resisting, casting deep shadows that seemed to grow darker instead of fade. I called out for Oliver, expecting the jingle of his collar or his usual lazy response. Still, there was nothing. The unease settled heavier in my chest. I decided to check the kitchen first, thinking I'd find him napping on the windowsill. But the air felt colder as I stepped inside, the linoleum floor icy against my socks. The window was wide open, curtains fluttering slightly in the breeze. I hadn't opened it. I was sure of that. A chill ran down my spine, and I rushed to close it, securing the latch firmly. I peered out into the yard, the trees swaying under the dim glow of a street lamp, but there was no movement, just an empty, hollow night. Turning back to the kitchen, I saw it, a small, wet footprint on the floor. It wasn't Oliver's. It was too large, human size, smeared slightly, as if whoever made it had been dragging their feet. My heart pounded, a heavy thud echoing in the silence. I tried to calm myself, convincing myself it could have been mine from the morning. But deep down, I knew better. I followed the trail, each step heavier than the last. The footprints led down the hallway, straight to my bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, darkness spilling out that seemed to swallow the weak light from the hallway. I hesitated, every instinct urging me to turn back, to leave. But I couldn't just walk away. I needed to see. Nudged the door open, the hinges groaning in protest. Inside, the room was pitch black, the air thick and damp, carrying a scent that reminded me of my childhood basement, earthy, moldy, wrong. My hand brushed against the wall, searching for the switch. When I finally found it and flicked it on, the light buzzed, flickering weakly. Oliver was sitting in the middle of the room, his eyes wide, fixed on a corner. His fur was bristled, and he let out a low growl, a sound I'd never heard from him before. I followed his gaze, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I saw it, a figure, barely visible in the dim light, standing in the corner facing the wall. It was tall, its limbs too long, its posture unnatural, like it had been broken and reassembled. The figure moved, its head tilting slightly, as though it had sensed me. I couldn't breathe, my body frozen. The only sound was Oliver's growl, rising into a hiss. Slowly, the figure began to turn, its face obscured by shadow, and I knew whatever I was about to see wasn't meant for human eyes. My vision blurred, fear overtaking me. I stumbled backward, my hand fumbling for the light switch. The room plunged back into darkness, and I turned and ran, the hallway stretching endlessly before me. Behind me, I heard the faintest whisper, like a breath against my ear. A voice that was mine but not quite right, saying, "You shouldn't have looked." I didn't stop until I was outside, the night air biting at my skin, my heart racing. I glanced back at the house, the windows dark, the silence thicker than ever. And in that silence, I knew I wasn't alone anymore.